Welcome to Droppin'Gems. I'm your host, Julian Saluda, and today's episode is one of those episodes that I've been waiting for. Personally, I'm so excited for this. A lot of my friends have been asking me, when are you gonna do this episode? And after many phone calls, he finally picked up the phone. Ladies and gentlemen, you probably know him as Mac Daddy. We have Angel Moreno. So the purpose of the show is to take you back to before you were Mac Daddy. So, Angel, where are you from?
So I'm kind of from a lot of different places. So I was born in Inglewood, and then when I was a baby, so my parents are Salvadorian. My parents are from El Salvador, and when I was born, my mom decided that they wanted to move back to El Salvador. So we moved back to El Salvador for a couple of years. And I think my mom kind of just realized that like after having a baby, like it just wasn't gonna work out there the way that she thought. So then we moved back to the States, and I basically grew up in Rialto/Riverside. I say Rialto/Riverside because it was Rialto up until I was about like 7 or 8, I would say. Do you know where Rialto is?
No.
You
I just know it's in Riverside.
You don't want to know. Do you guys know where Rialto is? No? I mean, Rialto is literally so hood. Like it is really like not a very safe place. Like it is just, it's very rough out there.
How long were you living in Rialto for?
I mean, we were there literally, I would say like most of like my childhood, like being like a young child. Like I remember my parents bought a house in Rialto, and when my parents divorced, my parents split up when I was around like 11. Then we moved into this like apartment complex, and I'll never forget it because we were literally on this street called Jackson Street in Rialto, and it was this like street that was like super hood, super just dangerous. Like we couldn't even get pizza delivered to our street because just like pizza drivers wouldn't come to our street.
So how would you order pizza?
Well, we wouldn't order pizza.
How do you know that the pizza can't drive there?
Because we would try to order it, and they literally would be like, we do not deliver to this address. Because there was always like shootings and drive-bys, and it was just like really rough. So it was just like a crazy kind of like time. And yeah, I just remember like being there, and then, you know, my mom kind of had to like do what she had to do as far as like making ends meet because my dad wasn't around anymore. And then we ended up moving to Riverside. So I say Rialto, Riverside, Rialto childhood, Riverside, like what I would say more of like what I really remember, kind of more like my middle school, going into high school, that was Riverside. But it was still kind of like not like Riverside in like the good places. It was still kind of like Riverside like in the bad places. And if you're like from the IE, you know that Riverside is huge. There's like a lot of different parts of Riverside. But if you're familiar with like Rubidoux, you know that that's like not the nice part of Riverside. So growing up there was really rough because it was, you know, just not a safe place to be. And, you know, this was like back in the day. I'm 30 years old. So imagine, you know, being like 14, 15, like 15 years ago, and kind of like where society was and just how things were and how closed off things were. You know, it was really rough kind of like growing up and being Hispanic and being gay and being all these things and not really having a lot of people to talk to because there was no one around that was like me, you know?
Of course. And
I always felt super outcasted.
Around this time, you were, I guess, in the hood,
yeah,
as you would say.
Basically.
Were you doing makeup at this time, or you were just...
You know what's crazy is, so I got my first job at 14. I was literally at the mall with my friends, and we were walking by this kiosk, and this girl was like, hey, like, you know, I like your look, like, are you looking for a job? And I was like, I mean, no, but I mean, tell me more, you know? Yeah, literally at 14. But I've always been a little hustler, but literally at 14, and she's like, okay, cool, like, we're hiring and we pay cash. And I was like, ooh,
even
pay
better,
cash,
under the table.
Yeah. So I was literally 14 years old, but I lied and I said I was 16. And she was like, you know, we're doing group interviews, come back like this day, this time. We're all black, blase. So I was like, cool, whatever. Came back for the group interview, and I ended up like getting the job. It was a kiosk where we sold hair tools. So we sold like flat irons, we sold like hair curlers. It was like all like hot
Wait, so
tools.
you're one of those dudes?
Yes, in the middle of the
Oh
mall.
my goodness.
In the middle of the mall, being annoying, asking you to stop to like
how do you stop someone from like walking to go shopping, right? Like what's your like
You know
what's
what
your
I'm talking about.
What's
It's
your
like,
what's your punchline?
it's like the people you walk by and you're like on the phone.
Yeah, that's the type of thing.
I was
where
that person.
Someone's walking into me, I'm like, no, thank you. Like, how do you engage with somebody
You know what
and
it
waste their
was?
time?
You know what it was is I don't know. Like I feel like I've always been like a people person. I've always just like loved to entertain just across the board. Like I just love entertaining. I just love entertaining just overall. And I remember we'd like play music at the kiosk. Like we had like a little boombox. Like we'd play music. We'd like dance. We'd sing. We'd just like just be acting up. You know how I am.
There,
you know how I am, Julian.
Yeah.
You know we have our moments when you come
my
you come to
goodness.
do the house calls at 3 a.m. and I'm
Listen.
singing Trey songs and dancing everywhere.
Listen, dude.
Literally.
There's not a night where I'm doing
I've
the house
always
call
been like that.
with Angel.
I've always been like that.
And it's not. It's just very. One time we were working out. We were working
We
out.
were working
We were
out.
really working out, and
It's
I'll never
true.
forget that.
It's true.
Shout out to Kanye. It was a workout
we were
plan,
doing
like Kanye.
the bicycle on,
Listen,
on
we
the
were doing
chairs.
abs on the stool, and he was like, and this was during quarantine, and he was talking about like,
Yeah.
I should just do a workout video and do some of the in-place running.
I know.
And I remember leaving
Yeah.
that house call, and I was
Yeah.
sweating out of my mind. I was
No,
like,
we literally were sweating after. But yeah, I've just always been like that. Like it's just always been like just me. And
of course.
like that's just like people would like stop and like stare, and then as soon as I got their attention, I'd be like, oh, like come here, like let me show you this, like let me talk to you. And it would just I just had a way with like selling. Like I'm really grateful for that job because I feel like it molded me and prepared me for a lot of things that I do now, you know, as far as like my career now with makeup and beauty and making videos and speaking to product in a way where, you know,
Where you could sell.
people are like engaged and they're intrigued and they're fascinated, and that I feel like that's kind of always been me. So that was my first job.
So you're
14 years old.
in the
I'm
kiosk,
14.
in the middle of a mall,
14 kiosk, middle of the mall.
and then.
Wait,
So listen, 14, you're doing your thing, right? The purpose of the show is take you back to before you were Mac Daddy, right? Well, first of all, let's go off track. Why is your name Mac Daddy?
Wait, we have to get to that after.
Okay, cool.
Because I'm 14 right now. I'm 14 in the middle of the mall. I'm 14 in the middle of in the kiosk. I'm trying to go
In
there.
the kiosk, all right.
But yeah, so I totally forgot the original question, you guys. What was the original question? Someone
I
please
mean, at
give me
this
some
point,
guidance here.
dude,
What was the original
free-flowing.
question? I'm being dead serious.
It was
don't
where,
even remember
listen,
it.
it was where you're from. It was where you're
Was that-
from.
is it where I'm from?
Yes, like it
How
was.
did I end up at the mall?
You telling me?
What is going on?
Where you from? Grew up in Riverside
Wow.
in the hood, and then
Okay.
you're walking in the mall,
Walking
and then
in the mall.
someone said, "I like
Why
your
am I
look."
talking about my job at the mall?
I have no idea.
Wrap it up.
We're still at the mall.
We're still at the mall.
Okay, so are you at least the best seller at the mall? Like, what the hell?
I don't even know what the purpose of me talking about me working at the mall was. What was the purpose, Andrew?
When did you get into makeup?
Wait, no, I feel like there was a reason why I started talking
Yeah.
about me working at the mall. You asked me something, Julian.
No,
you guys, he asked me
I
something.
did not ask.
No,
you
yes, you
something.
did. You guys, what was the question?
Going into your first job.
No, you asked me something.
You said you grew up in the hood, then you were walking at the
there
mall.
was something that you asked me.
How it molded you as a person. Something about
No, Julian, you asked me something.
I-
You said
I'm
something.
confused because I don't remember
Julian,
asking
I
you
will rewind the tapes.
But how did you get into makeup?
So, working at the mall, I was
the kiosk.
literally at the kiosk. I was the definition of what you call a mall rat, where I literally had friends at like every store, at every kiosk. I don't think I ever paid full price for anything anywhere. I mean, I literally remember like we would be closing the kiosk, and then the people that worked at Miss Fields, which is the cookie store, at the end of the night, like they would literally like have to throw away all the cookies that they like have left.
And they'll just give it to you?
So they would just come through every night.
The Cookie Monster.
And they would just give me like a big ass fucking bag of cookies, and just because they liked me. And so I just was like really, really cool with everyone, and I made friends with people at Nordstrom, which is a department store.
Of course.
And I remember they were like, you know, are you looking for another job? Like, we're hiring, da da da. And I was just kind of like, I mean, I guess, like I never really thought of like kind of my next move to just kind of always happened. And they were like, we're hiring, you should totally apply. So I remember going on the website, I applied for a job in cosmetics, and specifically I noticed that the MAC counter was hiring, which, back then MAC was like the end all be all when it came to like makeup. Like if you were a makeup artist and you worked there, it was kind of like that stamp of approval that you were like either really good or just like a really great artist, and like, they got paid really, really, really well back then for like what the job was, and working at a department store, and it was like a really big deal. And I had a few friends that worked at MAC, not at the mall that I worked at, but in other places, and I just remember them just always just making it seem like their job was like incredible and amazing and so much fun. And I've always been super creative, so I liked the fact that it was a very creative kind of like environment, and they just really celebrated like uniqueness and individuality, and that was kind of what really drew me to the brand.
But did you have like a history of makeup at
No,
all?
I didn't.
So you just took this job without any experience?
No. So I was intrigued and I wanted to apply for the job, and I did, and I applied and I interviewed and I didn't get it. And
why is that?
Because I had no experience. I like didn't know like anything. So I didn't get the job, but again, the people that worked there in cosmetics, they liked me so much that they were like, hey, you know what? Like, I know that it didn't work out for you to work at this counter specifically, but we have a new position that we're making available in the cosmetics department. Back then they called it a rover, and what it was is like anyone that was like going on maternity leave or vacation time, or like people that would call off, and like I would just fill in. Like that was literally the job. So I'm so glad that it happened that way, because it gave me the opportunity to kind of just get my hands on like different products, different brands. Like, and again, this is before Instagram. This is before beauty influencer was even a thing, Of
course.
And it gave me the opportunity to just familiarize myself with a lot of different brands and different products and different people. And I worked there for like a few years, and I just remember like it was just a really, really cool job, because I got to like meet people every day and talk to people every day. You're like my low-key like my therapist.
Every time
I get a haircut,
we had our moments.
You're like always my therapist, and it's kind of like that when you're a makeup artist and when you work in beauty and you work in cosmetics. Like,
but how do you just get a job?
Women come into to Nordstrom to buy product, but essentially they just want to sit there and talk to you and talk to you about their problems while you sell them product, and then it's just kind of what it is.
But like without any experience of makeup, how is it? How do you just become a rover? Like, let's say someone was on maternity leave.
I literally just figured it out. Like I literally just took the job, and I just figured it out. Like I would watch people around me. I would like, ask questions. Like there was training obviously that was like involved, in different brands would like send in people to like train me on product and like how to use the product, and
of course,
you kind of just slowly just kind of start to like teach yourself how to do things from what you're seeing and just your environment. So
because at this time there wasn't a lot of tutorials on how to do.
I mean, I was watching stuff on like YouTube was definitely a thing, but it was more just kind of like figuring it out on the job and teaching myself just different things. So after I was there, I ended up interviewing again. I probably interviewed maybe like, I don't even remember, like 5 different times to work at MAC. And then I think like the 6th or the 7th time, and this is after me being there in my position in cosmetics at Nordstrom for a few years, I finally got my dream job at MAC. And I remember it was a different MAC location at a different location. So I ended up leaving that store and started my job at MAC at a different mall. And this was kind of like at the beginning of like Instagram and when it took off. And I remember, I got my job at MAC. I was like super excited because it was like the first time that I ever felt like I could really be myself with like how I wanted to look, what I wanted to wear, if I wanted to wear makeup or not. Like they literally were all about like individuality, creativity, self-expression. Like they thrived off of that culture.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I think when it comes to like creativity, we need repetitions, right? Like for me, my kind of like a guinea pig was my grandfather when I was cut his hair. Who was yours?
Definitely like my mom. I grew up in a household of like all women. After my parents divorced, it was like my mom, my aunt, and my cousin. We all lived together. And I was just always around women, and Hispanic women are always very like into beauty, and from my experiences, like they are very much about getting their hair done, their nails done, like the makeup, the skincare. So I was always around beauty, and I always just saw how it was very uplifting for them, and it made them feel good because they looked good. So I was always subconsciously around it. So when I got that job, it was kind of natural to me in the sense of like just feeling like I've been here before, like I've seen this before kind of vibe.
Of course.
So I ended up getting the job there, and this was when Instagram was on the brink. And I remember one of my coworkers was like, hey, you should totally download this app. And I honestly thought it was just like an app for filters. This was back then where like,
what year was this?
Where like collages were cool. Do you guys remember when collages were cool? Like you would literally
when Instagram came out,
you would like
people
pick stitch like
food.
6 photos and it was like cute, and like now it's just like gross. So I thought it was just like an app for filters, and I downloaded the app, and I just kind of started posting photos like before and afters of like people that I like would come in and I would do their makeup, or you know, I'd post photos of myself and the makeup looks that I would do, and it just like slowly started just growing, and I had no clue what was going on. I had no clue that it was like becoming a thing. I think at that point, like the most social media that I had was like Facebook. And this was Facebook post MySpace. Because I feel like Facebook post MySpace is very different than what Facebook is now.
Oh, yeah.
So if you are my age or around my age, you know what I'm talking about. But it was very much like Facebook post MySpace. And that was kind of like the only social media that I had. But back then on Facebook, like you could only have like, I think like 3,500 friends or something like that. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, of course.
Like there was like a cap on like how many people you could follow like on Facebook. But this is the beginning of time.
When you made your Instagram, was it already named Mac Daddy?
It wasn't.
What was it?
I don't even remember. I think it was like A Marino 7, something like that.
So why Mac Daddy?
My page ended up getting deleted for some reason. I really don't remember why. But the name Mac Daddy came after my page got deleted. I was like, I'm gonna do another one. I really don't even know why it got deleted, but it got deleted. And when I was trying to figure out what I was gonna make my new username, we were closing at the counter, and I turned on the music because we have music at the counter. And there was this song that came on. It was like an 80s or like a 70s song.
Is it Return of the Mac?
No. It was not Return of the Mac, but it's a song that says like Mac Daddy, Mac Daddy, Mac Daddy, Mac Daddy, something. And I just thought it just kind of went like, I worked at the Mac counter, so that's kind of like the tie-in to the name Mac. And then with like the word daddy, I kind of like how it was kind of like Mac Daddy and kind of like what that means when you're like a Mac, but like I kind of felt like I was like the Mac Daddy of like makeup, so it kind of turned into this like, I don't know if I'm making sense, but it was kind of like I was like the Mac of makeup, but I worked at Mac, so it was like a play on words, but like, anyway, that's where it came from. Yeah. And when I did that, I didn't think it was gonna honestly
catch on,
be what it's turned into. I just thought it was like a fun, cool little like, I mean, my fucking AIM name when I had AIM on America Online was like Latin Lover 26 or something. And it's like, who the fuck names themselves Latin Lover 26? Like who the fuck names themselves Mac Daddy? But I just, I just had no clue what this was. So I was like, whatever.
I kind of like the Latin Lover.
Ew, no. Did you have AIM?
I didn't have AIM, no, but I had MySpace.
I forget, you're younger. Anyway, Instagram name was Mac Daddy, but I just, I was just like, cool, whatever, this is the name. And then slowly but surely, it just like started growing and growing and growing. And this is like back in the beginning of Instagram, where there was a thing called the popular page. And
which is now the explore page?
Which is now the explore page, which is a whole different situation anyway. But back then, if you posted like a photo that people engaged with like right away, like it got a lot of likes and a lot of comments like right away, it would shoot the photo to this place on Instagram called the popular page. And it was basically kind of like a trending, like what's trending, like what's hot. Like if you think of like Twitter and like hashtags that are trending, it's basically
it's like going viral.
When people are talking about that or engaging in something.
What was the photo?
It was always photos of like befores and afters. So I would do like before doing someone's makeup and after, and I would pick stitch it in a collage like side by side. and I would literally text overlay gross, ew. But I would put a giant text over the photo that said before
And then after.
And then I would watermark it with my Instagram name. It was just so gross. I would never do that now. But that's what it was. And I think people were just fascinated by like what makeup does. You know what I mean? Like we all know that like makeup is very transformative. Not only what it looks like physically, but also what it makes you feel like. You know, people contour and people highlight and people do all these things, and you literally can change like your fucking face shape. You know what I mean? Like I do it all the time. That's why people always make jokes about people, you know, catfishing. You know, because if you're meeting someone with like a full face of makeup and their eyebrows filled in and lashes and they're contoured and their lips are overdrawn and they look a certain way and it all comes off and you're like, wait,
catfish.
You're not the same bitch.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm guilty of that. I do that.
So have you catfished before? Have you catfished before?
Honestly,
be honest.
Andrew, have I catfished before? Absolutely. You know what? I probably am guilty of the catfish, but that's what makeup does, you know? So I think people definitely were like, wow, this is cool, like the transformations, and it just really just kind of grew. And again, this was at the beginning of like social media as we know it now with Instagram. And I think it was just a way for people to like find common interests. So I'm gonna follow this person because I love makeup. I'm gonna follow this person because I wanna learn how to do my makeup, or I wanna know more about makeup. And that's kind of how it grew. And I really saw the rise of what it did with beauty and just professions in general. Like now you can say like you're an influencer and it's an actual job. You know, brands pay you to talk about things. Back then, that was never anything. You know what I mean? It was like the only way to really make it, in my opinion, back then was like through traditional avenues. You know, my mom pushed me to go to college because she wanted me to get a degree so that I could be successful. So when I was going to college, because of her and solely because of her, not because I wanted to be there or I had a desire to be there. It was hard because it was like I was there physically, but I wasn't there mentally. I wasn't engaged in anything that I was learning or doing because I just have always been super creative. So when I took the step to like drop out of college and pursue a career in makeup, it was really hard for her to be okay with that because again, all she knows and all people are used to is these traditional ways to be successful.
Yeah, how old were you when you decided that, you know what, this is not for me? I'm gonna drop out of college. I'm gonna go.
I was 19.
You were 19.
I was 19, yeah.
So you're 1 year in college.
1 year in college, yeah.
What were you majoring in college?
I was just doing general ed, like literally taking like a math class and English class, like.
And the whole time you're juggling, trying to be an influencer, per se?
No, because this was before that. So I was just trying to, you know, I was working at the mall.
Show your craft.
I was just working at the
show
mall.
your craft,
I was just working at the mall. I was going to school and yeah, so when I dropped out and I was like, you know, I want to do makeup, she kind of had a hard time with it. But when Instagram happened and it kind of amplified a lot of creative people, you know, whether it was makeup, whether it was hair, whether it was whatever it was, you know, it just really, to me, in my opinion, created a really awesome moment for a lot of creative professions that weren't traditionally lucrative in the past. So, you know, back then, you know, as good as it got was working at a counter at a department store doing makeup. Now through platforms like, you know, Instagram.
You don't even have to work.
You don't even have to do that. You know, people can find you and book you for things, or celebrities can find you, or, you know, production can find you. And that's kind of what started to happen. Celebs would like, you know, message me and say like, hey, like, are you available to do my makeup? And blah, 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 blah. And then I slowly started to work with like different celebrities. I worked on like different production jobs for different shows, and it just kind of really opened me to this whole other world of like, wow, I don't necessarily have to work for a company. I can kind of work for myself. And when that happened, that was also like a really kind of pivotal moment in my life, because it was that battle of like security and knowing that this is what I'm making every single week by showing up to this job, versus I'm gonna go out on my own and freelance and become a freelance makeup artist, and potentially I could do well, but it's not guaranteed. So it's kind of like, what do you do, you know?
Oh, it's just taking the risk.
Right, and at the same time though, like Mac was my dream job. It was where I wanted to be. So it was kind of like, do I stay here or do I take the leap of faith and
How old were
move
you?
forward with
How old
this.
were you when you took the leap of faith?
This was 2003 going into 2014, so I was 23 years old. Wow. 23, and I quit my job. My last day at work was literally December 31st, 2013. I was 23 years old, and I quit my job because I was just getting a lot of opportunities outside of working at Mac.
Also,
and
you're already
makeup
doing
at Mac.
projects.
Yeah,
in the back
at
end.
this point, I mean, we're talking about like 4 years into working at Mac. We're talking about like Instagram at this point has already taken off, and I have a platform.
How many
and-
followers do you think you had at this time?
Dude, back then I think it was like 300,000, and it was like back then 300,000 was
It's
like,
almost a million.
oh my god,
Yeah.
are you kidding
Yeah.
me? 300,000 back then was like a lot.
But so there was a moment where you went
when I
viral.
hit like 50K, it was like, bitch, what?
Who do you
like,
think you
I'm like
are?
the president. You know, that's literally what it felt like back then. Obviously now it's like, you know, it happens
But
overnight
there
for some
has to
people,
be a
but-
moment when you work with this, I guess, celebrity client, right? And it popped for you.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Christina Milian. She was my first celebrity ever, and I met her through an event that I got invited for because of my following. And we met, we connected, we bonded. She was super cool. The next week, her assistant was sending me an email like, "Hey, are you available?" She's shooting. It was my first production job ever. It was Celebrity Holiday Homes for HGTV.
Wow.
And it was my first time doing a celeb production, anything. Mind you, I'm used to working at a makeup counter
Yeah.
where everything is there.
And then the
client
next
shows
day
up,
you're
the
here
client
on
shows up.
set
Yeah,
with
you know,
a
the client
PA.
shows up, you do what you do, but like, it's different when you're working on set, and it was my first time.
Yeah.
And I just remember being so nervous, like just didn't know like what to expect, and it was definitely not what I was used to.
Of course.
You know.
Take us back to that moment, because a lot of our viewers are gonna try to relate to that moment.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you have a big day, your first shoot. What did you do that night before?
I mean, I literally called every single person that I knew that I had met through working at Mac, that I knew had worked on set to some capacity, and I was just asking like, what do I bring? What's like protocol? What's like, you know, what should I do on a sanitary perspective? What should I do on like on a setup perspective? Like, how do I prep? I studied a lot of her photos too, as far as like
Been there before.
how like she normally does her makeup. Does she wear eyeliner? Does she not? Does she wear lashes? Does she not? Does she like blush? Does she like, what is she like? What does she normally look like? And I just remember just literally packing every single fucking piece of makeup product that I had in my house. And I showed up, and it was a really, really like intense environment, because working on set, when you have like a whole crew setting up lighting and cameras and this and that, and then you do something and then someone's asking you like, actually she looks too shiny, can you it's just a lot to take in that environment, especially if you're not used to it. And I remember I had a moment of like, I turned around to my makeup where I had laid out my makeup, and I literally had to like breathe and tell myself like, you got this, just push through, you got this. And the crazy part is she never said anything as far as like, I love my makeup, you know. Normally when you do someone's makeup, they look in the mirror and they're like, oh my God, I love it. Of
course.
But she was just very like,
Nonchalant.
yeah.
And first time
you know,
you're
this,
expecting
like,
a reaction.
yeah, and you know, she
Yeah.
does this every day, so she's just used to this. And it wasn't until the end of the day where she said, thank you, you did such a great job, I loved my makeup. And then at the end of the day, I finally was like, wow, I can breathe. Like, I think she liked it, you know? And from there, I just kept working with her. They kept booking me for stuff. And that was definitely that turning point that opened the doors for me with, you know, I made connections with someone on set that day that worked for production. The following month, they hit me up and were like, hey, we're shooting this other show. We need a makeup artist on set. Are you available? And it like, that's when like the whole idea of like networking really came into fruition for me, and understanding what that was and connecting with people every single time I went on set, because I just never knew what opportunities can come from meeting someone or a referral or whatever. And it just kind of slowly just kind of started growing and growing and growing and growing until I got to the point where I was like, I either am going to stay at my day job and have to miss out on all of these opportunities because I can't make myself available, or I'm going to quit my job and make myself available for all of these opportunities that I hope are going to be there and that I hope are going to be consistent, because it's going to be up to me and up to those opportunities to pay my bills and provide the life that I want.
What were you doing in between? So you said it took about a month for them to hit you back up, and assuming that you already left Mac around this time.
Well, that was when I was trying to figure it out, and then I ended up leaving.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm just gonna take this opportunity. I'm just gonna run with it. I'm gonna believe in myself and take it, and that's what I did.
So you're pretty much booked up for the most of the days and throughout the week.
Working at Mac?
Not working at Mac, but
like freelancing?
For you to decide, you know what, I'm gonna leave Mac, and then I'm gonna do this full time. Like,
I mean, yeah, I was definitely like presented with a lot of opportunities that I didn't want to miss.
wow.
So I was like, I need to take this. I need to just do it. And I did, and it just ended up working out. Like, it ended up working itself out. And I just managed to stay busy. I managed to find consistent work and always just work on set or work on a celebrity or work on just a normal person that was booking me to do makeup for a wedding or whatever it was. And I just saved money. I was just saving money. I was working, saving money. I was living in Riverside at the time too, so I was driving to LA a lot. And that was hard.
That's a push.
That
That's
was
a
really,
push.
really hard. I'll never forget it. I did one season of Braxton Family Values for WeTV. And our call time was 8 a.m. every morning in Agora Hills, which is literally past Woodland Hills. And I was living in Riverside, and call time was 8 a.m. and we wouldn't wrap until like 10 or 11. So I would literally wrap on set at like 10 or 11, wouldn't make it to Riverside until like 1, would literally sleep for like 4 or 5 hours until I had to like literally get up and go back.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
But that's what it's about, though.
But it's what it took, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's what it took. Because when you work on production jobs, like a lot of the times if it's like they're filming a season of something, you know that it's like, all right, I'm booked for the next 4 or 5 weeks while they're shooting the season or while they're shooting whatever, until it's your next job. So it's kind of like what it took, and it was definitely like ups and downs, like being busy and then being not busy. And in the times where I was not busy, that's where I was investing my time in doing stuff for Instagram and doing makeup looks and doing videos and doing tutorials and doing all of this. And then that started to kind of take off. And then it got to a point where that was doing better and providing more for me than working with clients and working with celebs, because now brands are paying me to create, these types of videos and stuff like that.
Without having to show up on set.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pretty much the definition of a freelancer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So it kind of just enabled, my career in a lot of different ways. So eventually, once I kind of was simultaneously doing both, you kind of hit that wall again where you're like, okay, now am I going to continue to be on this end of the spectrum and work on set and do all of this and freelance, or do I want to put more of my energy into being the influencer and creating this type of content and doing videos and doing tutorials? And that was kind of another pivotal moment where I was kind of like, this is what I want to do. I should do this now. And I kind of put a lot of energy into that, and it's evolved into what it is now.
Do you think that being a man that does makeup gave you an advantage when you were stepping into this makeup scene?
I would say like yes and no. I would say yes in the sense of, I've always felt like men in the beauty space is like a double-ended sword, because on one end, I feel like women love the whole like gay best friend, like I'm going to trust a gay man to tell me.
Because there's also a man, deep down.
Versus trusting actual women. So I think like that was something that was to my advantage. But then also in the same context, it's kind of like it's a women-dominated industry. So then you kind of run into the opposite end of that. So
which like I don't trust you.
Right. So it was tricky. It's very tricky to navigate. But
I feel like now though it's so normalized that.
Yeah, definitely now it's way normalized. But back then, it was like not. Like I think it's so fascinating to me now to know that there's literally like 12, 13-year-old boys that will go to school in a full face of makeup with a crop top and acrylic nails.
Do you would get bullied for that back in the days?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? When I was going to school in high school, there was 2 other openly gay dudes in my high school. And I saw how they got ridiculed every single day. So I just,
You didn't come out.
I didn't come out because I didn't want that for myself. So it's really cool to see like how much things have changed, how society has just become so accepting, and how things have become so normalized. And I feel to some capacity, and I take pride in this, in feeling like me being brave and putting myself out there when it was, you know, in the very beginning of that, you know, like I feel like I helped to some capacity pave the way when it comes to that, because when I was doing this, when Instagram started, no one was doing this, you know what I mean? I would get crazy comments every single day about like people not being okay with what I was doing and what I was posting and how I was looking. But I was able to just kind of push through that because I knew that it wasn't about the negative, it was about the positive and what that was doing, not only for other people, but for me. And fast forward, now it's become so normalized, and now it's become an actual legitimate career, and it's become an actual legitimate industry. And I've managed to obtain all of these things and have all of these amazing experiences because of that, and that passion that I had, and how I just allowed it to just continue to help me grow and learn. And now having like a brand and just being in this different place in my life, and being able to be here, and this is my space and my office and my studio, and just
We're
like
at Arches Couture
all these
right
things.
now.
Yeah,
and
you
this
know?
is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel
so
like
it's really cool to just kind of
not a lot of people
go
will
through
see
it.
like the process, like, you know, throughout your moments when you were trying to come up the ladder.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you had a lot of hate, right?
Yeah.
What do you do when people tell you a negative energy, and like, you know, for the people watching this, what's the advice you would give them?
You know, I'm not gonna lie and say that like it doesn't get to you, or that it's easy to just let things roll off your back, because it's not. But I do feel like you just kind of, you gotta just stay focused. And I always say like, keep your eyes on the prize. And whenever I am feeling discouraged or feeling like something is affecting me in a negative way, I just try to remember like, what is the purpose of what I'm doing, and what is the reason? And it always outweighs anything negative or anything bad. You know, for me, my purpose, I've always felt like I was put into this world to inspire people, and to just be like a testament of, you know, someone with a dream and passion and working hard and making things happen for yourself, and not just waiting for things to happen, but to literally make things happen for yourself. And I kind of have always just wanted to inspire and motivate people. So I feel like that's a huge driver for me. And I think like furthermore, dissecting it a little bit more, kind of the fact that I didn't really have anyone to talk to when I was young about what I was experiencing, what I was going through, and being gay and being Hispanic, and, you know, feeling all these pressures. Bro. And especially, you know,
living in the hood and coming out.
Yeah, growing up
you
in
get bullied
fear.
for that.
Yeah, growing up in fear and all these things. And like, now for me, like the visibility piece of it is so important. Like the fact that like there could be another little 5, 6, 7-year-old little like gay Latin kid that's walking into Sephora with his mom, and they're able to literally see a photo of me on the gondola and feel like, wow, I'm seeing, or wow, like that person looks like me, or wow, like if this is here, like I can accomplish that too. Like that is what motivates me and drives me, and what makes all of the negative that comes with it worth it. Because obviously, again, it's a female dominated space. It is very much, you know, we still have a long way to go when it comes to just the concept of men and beauty, or, you know, just all of that in general. But I feel like it's about what I'm doing now to contribute to move the mark, so that, you know, when I'm older and I have kids and I'm leaving them here on this planet Earth, you know, when I'm not here anymore, like what does that look like for them? And to me, that's what drives me and allows me to push through all of the negative and all of the bad things that come with, you know, being your authentic self and being fearless in that sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was deep. That was deep right there.
Oh my God.
I know.
I need a shot.
So, you know, you're coming up. What do you think was like the biggest
and
moment?
Actually,
what the hell do you want?
Wait.
What do you want from me?
Wait. I have a question for you.
I'm the host.
I don't care. I have a question for you, because you actually have a little human that you're leaving behind.
Yeah.
in this world. So I know that that's a huge part of why you're even doing this.
This is why the show was made.
Yeah.
This is why the show was made, and that's why we even
Yeah,
made
exactly.
we just shot for gyms for kids with autism.
I know.
And not a lot of gyms actually offer that service.
I know.
And that's
I
why
know.
we're doing this.
Yeah.
And
but that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm sure to some capacity, like your driving force is, you know, that, and creating a better world for your
little
son.
one. Shout out to Jeremiah, by the way. He
Which I
just turned
still
2.
haven't met.
He just turned 2. Angel is toxic, man. He's just.
I've literally been telling Julian, I need to meet your son.
He's gonna turn him into a poster boy, man. And I'm scared. I gotta make sure he's wearing Gucci from head to toe.
Yeah, it's so funny.
But going off track, what do you think was the moment when you looked at yourself and said, "I'm that guy"?
You know, I get asked that question a lot, like, what was the moment when you realized you made it, or like whatever. I kind of feel like for me, it's like, I have those moments of reassurance along the way, but
Hold on, taking your upper lip real quick before I want to cut your lip off.
Don't fuck me up.
I know, I'm not gonna fuck you up. I've done it before. Not on camera. There you go.
Okay. I feel like I've had those moments of reassurance along the way, but I don't think I've reached that like moment of really feeling like this is my peak, or like I've made it. Like I feel like I know that I'm doing well for myself, and I've had these moments, like these like milestone accomplishments that mean a lot to me, that are almost like what is it called when you're like when you're like a Boy Scout and you get your little badges? Like what is that called?
When you get your little,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
when you
what
like
you
the
mean.
little cosign. Yeah, like I've had those moments in my life along the way, but I definitely
there's more to come.
Yeah,
That's what we're pretty much saying.
yeah. I feel like there's so much more that I still have left to do. So, you know, I don't feel like I've fully had.
Of course. So we can switch that question up a little bit. What was one of the best moments you had so far? If you could choose one off the top of your head.
There's 2.
Just one. I just want one.
Just one? Okay. I'll give you one. There's actually 10. I'm just kidding. I think for me, it's more of like a personal thing for me. It was definitely like when my mom verbally said to me that she was proud of me and that she felt like how can I put it? She basically expressed to me that she felt like I was gonna be okay. And I think that, especially in a Hispanic household, you know, your
they
parents
baby you until you're like 30,
well,
35.
not just that, but like, you know, my mom migrated to this country when she was like 14, literally working in a sweatshop, you know, sewing clothes, you know.
Oh, so your mom can sew?
Yeah, my mom can
So
sew.
you think I could hire her to like...
Make you another cape?
Which got around, by the way.
But, you know, I feel like for her, it's about the security and feeling like, you know, when I'm no longer on this earth, my son is going to be fine. And I think like as her son, and especially culturally, like that's kind of what you work for. You want to give your parents that feeling of relief. Like of relief and know that they're proud of you and know that you did good. And I think when we had that conversation and she verbally said to me, I am proud of you. I know that once I'm no longer here, you are going to be fine.
Wow.
I think that's to me when I had that moment. Because that's kind of all I've ever really wanted, and everything else has just kind of just been like.
So what was tied with
the
that?
icing on top.
Dang, what was like the other one? Because now I'm curious, because that was.
Well, the other one was just more on like a business perspective,
Milestone
like
way.
Yeah, like launching in Sephora. When we got that email and they're like, hey, we've been looking at you and what you're doing and we love your stuff and we've literally have ordered your product and we want to take a meeting. You know, having like a company and a brand like Sephora, which is one of the biggest global beauty retailers, come to you and say, we want you, like that was a huge, you know, cosign and milestone for me as far as, you know, my brand and my business.
I'm not gonna lie, like when I go to Sephora, I don't have to go shopping. I just have to go to see your face. Like I think I tagged you before.
My whole ass catfish face. I can literally be at Sephora next to the gondola, and people wouldn't even know it's me because I'm such a catfish. and then pre-haircut.
You don't have the haircut yet. You don't have the haircut
yet. If I go up
yet.
to a Sephora pre-haircut, no one's even looking.
Have you ever walked into Sephora and it's like, oh my gosh, like it's Mac Daddy? Or you ever been where like no one noticed you? No one noticed him in New York?
We actually just recently went to New York. It was Andrew's first time.
I was there.
You were there!
I was there!
You were there!
Oh, we got so
Wait,
big.
did you go with us to Sephora?
I didn't go with you guys to Sephora.
But it was Andrew's first time there. Andrew's my assistant.
Andrew's first time in Sephora?
First time in New York.
Oh, New York.
Yeah, and all of the years that we've been working together, he had never been. So I was like, I need to take you. So I was doing this job, and we went, and he had never been to Times Square, and we literally pulled up to Times Square. We went to the Sephora store. And it was a huge, like state-of-the-art, crazy Sephora.
I went just to check it out, just to see your face.
Yeah. And everyone was freaking out. It was super cool.
Oh, you were just signing autographs and just...
No, but I mean, I was
meet and greet with Mac
photos,
Daddy,
you know?
What? How do you feel when people approach you and they take pictures with you?
I think it's cool. I think it's cool because, you know, when you're on social media and you're seeing the comments, you know, you just read someone's username, you just read the comment, you take a peek at the photo. But to me, like meeting people in person and having that tangible moment with someone that I know is like a follower and a supporter. And my favorite is when I meet people and they're like, oh my God, like I bought your lipstick and I used it for my wedding, or I have your palette and it's my favorite, I use it every day. Like that's to me when it's like really, really, really special, because it's like, you know, again, like on a day-to-day when I'm here and I'm seeing the orders come through on a daily basis, it's just kind of like, okay,
you're just packing
it's
it,
just
ready.
going. But when you see it and it's tangible and you have that interaction, like it's really cool. You know, it's really, really cool because, you know, the world has changed so much. Retail and just shopping experiences have changed so much. Everyone's buying
online.
Shopping anymore. You know what I mean? So it's
like
cool.
The old you that was a mall.
The old me that was at the mall begging people to stop
exist.
so that I could sell them something. Like it's so 360, so 180. What I'm doing now, you know what I mean? And so it's cool to have that tangible moment, because
I never knew that you were like that big of a deal when we were having breakfast. And I remember this is during COVID.
Oh, we were at the Ace Hotel.
Yeah, so listen, this was during COVID, so we had to eat outside, right? And we're eating
on the sidewalk.
And Angel was telling me, he's like, why are you working here? Like, I need you to get your own studio. You have everything you need, and this and that. And I'm drinking.
It was when you were getting ready to leave the barbershop.
I was 5 mimosas in, and I had more haircuts to go. And I'm just like, you're right, Angel, you're right. And it's such a serious conversation. And then people are walking by, oh my God, it's Mac Daddy. You know, just
I was like,
and there goes me just sitting there.
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh, good times.
Yeah.
But you know, now that it's always nice to take you back to before you were even considered as a face of the culture. Yeah. Right? And I think for you, everyone should have a duty being the face of the culture. Yeah. What's your purpose?
I mean, just like I said earlier, it's like definitely like that inspirational piece, you know, and being the example. I think especially now with having the platform that I have, I feel a certain social responsibility to talk about certain things.
And especially nowadays.
Yeah, especially now. You know, last year was crazy. Last year was literally crazy.
It was a movie.
Oh my God, last year, I don't think anyone could have imagined or predicted last year. I remember literally New Year's Eve, all my friends were like, bitch, 2020 is our year. I'm turning 30, like it's it's gonna be amazing. And then 2020 happened, and then it's like, oh, like we're locked inside.
Do you remember like April? Like I haven't seen you, and I just text you.
Are you kidding me? It was literally. Do you remember, you guys? Crazy story with Brian. Brian was literally so spooked of COVID, and Brian was getting in my head, and I literally had booked Julian for a house call.
Let me tell you this story. Can I tell this story?
Oh my God.
Because it's from my point of view, right? This is when I used to live in Redondo Beach. And I get booked to do a house call to downtown LA, which is a 35-minute drive. And I think it was like midnight.
It was literally like...
It was late. I
had something the next day.
Yeah, it was late. So me, I'm like, hell yeah, like I haven't been working at the shop. I want to make some money. Let me drive. I'm driving to downtown. I get there, and Brian Hearns, I love you, but this is all your fault.
It was his fault.
So I get there, and Brian has his mask on, and he was just like, how many people have you cut today? And you know, me as a businessman, it's like saying like, how's business? You want me to say it's bad? Because it's gonna make me look bad. So I'm thinking, so I lied. I said, I did about 6 to 7 haircuts today. And if I could go back in time, I should have just said one. And Brian's like, that's too many people. This and that. And then we're just here.
And then I'm spooked. I'm standing like way on the other side of the counter. And I was like, Julian, I was like, don't hate me. I was like, but I'm just gonna need you to leave.
Yeah.
And I made Julian leave. I didn't get a haircut because Brian's like,
oh my goodness,
the shears, and he didn't clean it good enough.
If I can show an example, listen.
And I literally was like, Brian, but he sprays the thing. And he's like, you're gonna get COVID. I was scared.
I get there and like, spray your tools. And they go, spray it again. Do the backside, do the whole thing. I was just like, bro. Yeah. And I just went, you know what? Let me just spray it.
Yeah. And then Brian was like, no, like I don't trust it. Like it's there. And we made you leave. I'll never forget it.
I paid for parking too, because Circa is like $10 per parking.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and I get a text like, thanks for coming. At least you get to hang out with us.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a crazy time. It was crazy. It was crazy. So,
time.
you know, with my platform, I feel like I have a certain social responsibility to talk about certain things. And, you know, not only was it like the pandemic and dealing with COVID, but then it was like all of these huge social movements, you know, with like Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. And we live in downtown. So I firsthand was like on my balcony seeing the protests and seeing the fucking, what is it? What are those people called? Not the fire marshals. The people. The army, not the SWAT team.
The National Guards.
The National fucking Guard. Yeah. At every fucking corner.
Their
home base was the convention center across the street from me. So from my balcony, I could literally see all the tanks at the convention center. It was just a crazy time, and it was really scary because we've never experienced it. Then what made it crazier for me was like the curfews. You can't leave your house past 7, can't get an Uber, and I wasn't driving at the time. Like I couldn't, if there was an emergency, I would have not have been able to leave.
There was not a lot of Ubers.
There was nothing that I could have done. And then everyone's buying everything at the grocery. It was just like a really chaotic time. Yeah. And, you know, I felt the need to use my platform to address certain issues, to educate not only myself, but other people, and just try to be as vocal as possible through all of it, while trying to be uplifting and motivating, because people are losing their jobs left and right. People are like, all these things, and it was just such a crazy time. So I feel like for me now, like with my platform, like I'm just trying to be as positive as I can, as uplifting as I can, you know?
I feel like for everybody that's in the platform that you are in, everyone's responsible to just know what's going on, even though it's not your job. Like you could say that, right? But at the same time, it's good to know because people are listening to you.
Yeah. And especially when it's something, you know, as crazy as
it's very sensitive. That's a sensitive topic.
Yeah. But even, I mean, it's just like, and even with like the elections, you know what I mean? Like, and being very vocal about like, this is the side that I'm on. This is what I feel is going to get our country out of the situation that we're in, and encouraging people to vote and encouraging people to educate themselves. And
is it
hard
to have an opinion with your social status?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, on one side of the spectrum, it is kind of like you want to stay politically correct to a certain degree.
Universally correct,
you know, people always say don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics.
But at a certain point, that's your responsibility.
Yeah, and not only that, but I feel like I pride myself in being very raw and real. And I pride myself in feeling like I'm going to be authentic to everything that I am, which is why, you know, I was putting on a full face of makeup and posting myself on social media and dealing with all these things and, you know, pushing the boundaries and everything that I was doing. And when it comes to social things, you know, like the election last year, like I felt like I needed to be very vocal about like, you know, if you're supporting a specific party, not only are you supporting that party, but you're agreeing to all of these things that affect me in a negative way, that affect my direct community, all these things. So just trying to educate people as much as possible and making people as aware as possible.
But not to take away that everyone's still entitled to their own
opinion. Of course,
opinion.
yeah, of course.
Out of respect,
but,
right?
You know, it's kind of like, I think it was definitely a time where
you had to
across the board, lines were drawn in the sand. What side are you on? And I feel like everyone felt that way, you know, from you know, the elections to social movements, it was very like you're on this side or you're on this side, and there was no in between.
You ever had like a backlash moment for having a certain opinion?
No, because I feel like people that like follow me are people that identify with me, that see themselves in me, can relate to me. So I kind of feel like most of the time it's not really that. I mean, it happens here and there, but you know, I know that like it's, you know, you follow and you listen to people that you identify with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you know, it's a new year.
Yeah.
I'm feeling super hopeful and inspired these days that it's gonna be a great year. I'm super proud of you with like what you're doing. I'm being serious. Like this is really cool. Like I'm glad we got to do this and that we're doing this together, because I know what it means to you, and I know, like, you know, even if it's like one person that watches this and we're able to change their mentality and that changes their life and gets them on the right track, then that's what it's about, you know. Like, that's kind of what it's always been about for me.
I made this show just to give people a formula on how to make it, but also to keep people inspired.
Yeah.
So for you, like, there's people out here that are watching that want to be a makeup artist to get to the level that you're at. What's an advice you could give them?
A few different things. I'd definitely say, like, when you're in a creative profession, whether it's hair, whether it's makeup, whether it's a fashion designer, it's all about... Or barber. I was thinking he was a hairstylist. I don't know why.
I think I am a hairstylist. Alex would agree on that.
But I feel like, you have to always stay diligent on working and perfecting your craft. Things always evolve and change, trends change. If you're in the beauty space, you know that makeup trends change, hair trends change, fashion trends change. You have to be able to always adapt and evolve and pivot to the change, welcome the change, be okay with change, but
or create a
change. Or create it, or create it, but just kind of always be open to that. Always, you know, work on what it is that you do. And then I think too, just kind of always remember why you started. Like what is the purpose of what you're doing? And I think that when you have purpose and you have drive and you're passionate and you're willing to put in the work, then no matter what it is that you want to do, like, it's going to happen, because that is the formula.
Like, to me, the biggest turnoff, because people, especially with COVID, and a lot of people don't have much money, the first thing they ask me as a barber is like, how much are you getting paid? Because I want to get into that. And the moment they tell me that, I already look at a red flag. Because there's times where you don't have money, right? So for you, like, there's times where you're not really, I remember you were telling me you went on tour, and it was like a self-funded tour, and you didn't have much money, but you did have the followers. So you did like a showcase. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just about getting creative. Just like getting creative with, like, all right, like, how am I going to make money? Like, what am I going to do? What can I offer? How can I, you know, stimulate some income? And at the time, you know, I wasn't freelancing a lot. But I had left my job. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna teach. I am gonna teach people how to do makeup.
How many followers did you have around this time?
Probably like 400,000. Like, it wasn't what it is now.
That's still a weapon.
It was. It definitely was a huge resource for sure. And I was just like, you know, I'm just gonna teach. And I just, my assistant at the time, it was just us, and we were like, you know, let's figure it out.
Andrew?
It wasn't Andrew. This was pre-Andrew. Before Andrew's time. And we partnered with the West End, and we basically booked conference rooms at the West End across the US. We did 12 different cities. And we were selling tickets to the seminar for like $100.
How much money did you have around this time?
How much
money did you have around this time?
I had no money. I had no money because I was literally like, as a freelancer, it was like
living off gigs.
I would like work and I'd get paid from that job. And what sucks, what people don't know about like production jobs is you don't get paid right away.
No,
you get paid like, 30 days later, 60 days
yeah.
later. Sometimes if you're lucky, you have to hound these companies to pay you because that's just the way that it is. But, you know, I was pretty much living that like paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. And when I did the tour and I was doing the seminars, I was charging like $100 a pop, booking like conference rooms for like 50 people, you know, just kind of hoping that it would work out.
How many people did you expect you were gonna have?
I mean, I ended up selling out pretty much every stop that I did, but it was only
Wow.
like 50 people. It was like super intimate, but it definitely was a great like jump start to.
It gave you a lot of confidence.
Yeah, it gave me a great jump start to be able to make, you know, a significant amount of money right away that I was able to invest towards something that was going to essentially, you know, be what provides for me, which is my brand, you know? I basically took most of the money that I made from that and put it all towards starting a brand and starting a company.
And it was Artist Couture?
Yeah.
How long has Artist Couture been?
I started the company in 2014. So we are going on 7 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
7 years.
7 years, yeah. I say though, like unofficially 2018, because I always say the first 4 years were a huge wash. Lots
Why?
of just lots and lots and lots and lots of
I've always looked at it
learning.
as like the first year was kind of like the popping. Like, all right,
Yeah.
if it's popping the first year, it's
Yeah.
popping next year. But for 4 years?
Yeah, I think the first 4 years were a huge learning experience for me with just learning about the industry, learning about making product, the way that we work with different manufacturers and labs, the way that we should work internally, processes, just all these
What
different
got you
things.
into making products?
Well, I had the platform, you know, on social media, and I was working with companies and brands, and they would give me these codes, you know, and I'd post something and say, oh, use this code and get 10% off. And I'd get reports on like how often my codes were being used. Sometimes I'd make commission off of these codes and stuff like that. But it just really opened my eyes to the fact that like things that I was suggesting and things that I was talking about and using, people were actually buying. And then I started to feel like, okay,
That should be my
that should
product.
be my product.
Yeah.
But not just that, I almost felt like product is an extension of something. And I felt like with my platform, I wanted to create product that was an extension of me that would make people feel the way that I felt with it, you know? So for me, again, growing up, you know, without anyone to talk to and always being around beauty subconsciously, like it kind of was my outfit. It was my outlet of self-expression. You know, it did give me confidence. It did make me feel more empowered. So I wanted to create product that would in turn do the same for other people. And that was kind of like the inspiration when I started to create product and I wanted to start a brand.
Do you still have the first product you've made?
Yeah, it's actually still like the bread and butter of our company, which is my loose highlighters. They're called Diamond Glow Powders.
What inspires you to make these products?
You know, the cool thing is like with being an influencer, I literally get sent so much stuff. I mean, like on a daily basis from every single brand, from skincare to color cosmetics to like just everything. So I get to, you know, pretty much get my hands on everything and experience it.
So you get to find what's lacking.
Right, I get to figure out like, I like this, but it could be better if this, or I don't like this, or I hate this, or this is really, really great. And I'm able to really identify like where the gaps are and I'm able to create them.
Then you can create something
know?
that's unique in its own way.
Yeah, so it's really cool to be able to have that piece of it because
As an artist, when do you think is the right time to create product?
I think it just depends like what the lane is, you know what I mean? Like whether it's like hair or makeup or like whatever it is. But you know, I think that like once you are at a place where you have some type of platform where you can amplify some type of something that you can sell, I think that that's when.
Yeah, because you don't want to sell
it's
something
good.
that's gonna taint your reputation.
Yeah, and it has to make sense, you know what I mean? Like it would be like if you wanted to start something super random that had nothing to do with what you do, you know,
It's
you're
gonna be harder to sell.
Yeah, it's like you're a master of like what you do, which is hair and being a barber and all these things. So if you tell me, hey, buy this product because it's gonna make your beard grow, I'm gonna trust you and buy that versus any other person, you know what I mean? So as long as it's like within your lane that you are like the expert in, I think that that's when it really works.
Does it matter how much followings you have, or?
It just depends, honestly. I think it just depends on
Because
like.
it's almost like asking you like, when is the right time?
I don't even think it's about the right time. I just think it's about the right plan. You know what I mean? Because before people had social media, how were people selling product? How were people getting
door to door
retail distribution? Right.
Yeah.
And in some cases it was door to door. In some cases, like I remember my mom used to sell like random shit. Like she used to sell these body shapers. And she literally,
the one that you just strap on.
The little fucking
to make you curvy.
They give you curvy with a big booty, and the selling tactic was she'd host these little parties for her friends.
Oh wow.
And it'd be like all the girlfriends would come and they'd have like drinks or tea or whatever, and she shows them everything, and it was like a little you know, like a little.
Now I see where you got it from.
So, you know, it's kind of like, it's whatever the plan is. I think like that's when you have a good plan, then that's when it's the right time. But you have to make it a point to create a plan for yourself so that you're not just going into something blindly. Like what is gonna be your angle? What is gonna be your way of getting product to people's hands, you know?
All right, let me do your mustache real quick because I did not. And it's so dark in here, but it's all good.
Do you need more light?
No, it's cool. We're almost there. I can't just.
How does it look?
Looks good, actually.
Does it?
Yeah. We had to recover from your freaking beard. Because you keep doing your own beard. I don't know why you keep doing that. I always get mad at you, man, because it's like, I come see you after 2 weeks, and this beard is like this low, and you're telling me that you have a shoot, and I'm just like...
I know.
Dude, if I had the...
I let it grow, though, for this.
I know. That's why you look extra crazy. But...
I felt like it'd make a good before and after.
Yeah. That's the thing. Perfecto! Let me get the alcohol.
It always hurts.
Alright, ready? Ready? You good? Oh yeah, give him the mirror before we spray this. Yay!
Ooh! Oh my god, I honestly feel like I am resurrected. I feel like I'm resurrected.
Told you.
You know, to any girls watching this, the best way that I can describe it is having a fresh haircut is like when you get like a fresh weave installed and you just feel the volume and it's just the length and it's just there. That's what it feels like. So when you don't have a haircut, it just doesn't feel like that. I feel like we should go out after this, Andrew. What do you think?
What about me?
Post-breakup turn up?
I'm down.
You should do it. Are you down? And it's Wednesday? Today's Thursday?
Alright.
Today's the hip-hop night.
Where? Bitch.
We're going out.
Alright. So thank you for joining us on the show, Angel. And now it's time for me to do a Mac Daddy beatdown. See, like when I'm doing your beard, but not like this, where it's like, don't move. Alright, shh. Relax. We're about to do this. Shh. Go ahead, open your mouth a little bit so I can get the corners. I just put the, open your mouth a little bit, like kind of like, or like.
Yeah.